Hi, David O'Sullivan here, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review for Jessica Jones Season 1. Marvel's Jessica Jones is the latest Netflix show based on a Marvel comic book character. We had Daredevil earlier on this year. I absolutely loved Daredevil. I mean, I really loved it. It's probably my favourite comic book TV show of all time. I just thought it was great, so well done, and I really hope it comes out on Blu-ray. Jessica Jones is the latest Marvel Netflix TV show, and yeah, let's talk about it. It's similar to Daredevil in a lot of ways, and it's quite grounded and realistic, set in the real world. It's not all over the top, it's quite, edgy and, feels very real and contemporary. But it's also very different in a lot of ways as well. Both tonally and stylistically it's very different from Daredevil. But like Daredevil, it's different but in a good way. It's refreshingly different. It doesn't feel like a typical superhero kind of thing. It doesn't really feel like a superhero show at all, but I think that's a good thing. It's got this kind of neo-noir kind of vibe to it. In terms of how it's shot and the lighting, there's lots of it's quite noirish in that way, the type of Dutch kind of tilt camera angles they use, how everything looks in the shots, how shots of the buildings and the lighting as well. Very atmospheric, to show the mood of the characters and enhance the look of the whole world and the setting, like all the purple lighting whenever the Purple Man shows up. David Tennant, we'll talk about him later. I think I loved how it looked. It looked great, and I loved the whole vibe and tone of it. It was really cool, different and refreshing in that way. Yeah, in many ways it was like a cross between a detective mystery drama and a comic book show. Obviously it was comic booky in the sense that it was a comic book character and there was characters with powers, but that wasn't overplayed. It was very subdued and down to earth and grounded. First and foremost, it was like a detective mystery drama. It was a lot more character driven, I would say. I mean, Daredevil was character driven, but Daredevil had a lot more action. There is action scenes in Jessica Jones and superpowered characters obviously, but it feels a lot more character driven. It's more, centered around the story, and it's kind of like a neo-noir take on a superhero story, and I think it worked really well. The whole tone of it and style of it, I think it all matched really well with the character and the story, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was kind of like a psychological thriller take on a superhero story, and I think it was done really well. Krysten Ritter was great as Jessica Jones. I had doubts going in. I wasn't massively aware of her. And when I first, saw her and saw that she was cast as Jessica Jones, I was like, I'm not really sure about that, but she proved me wrong on this. She was great, a great fit for the character. She embodied the character really well, and it was really convincing as well. There wasn't, massive amounts of effects there, but all the scenes when she's using her strength and stuff, you really buy into it, and she really sells it in a performance. It's really believable. A lot of the time, female characters in the superhero shows or films aren't that great, don't take the lead and aren't like the stars of the show, but Jessica Jones, that's definitely not the case. Jessica Jones herself is just a great, strong, badass female character. She's just not to be messed with, just got a complete no-nonsense, take-no-shit attitude, and it was just great fun to watch that, and Krysten Ritter was great, and her performance really brought that out. How she was just you just, can't be bothered with people and just shuts them down and just is like, oh, just get out of the way. It was just great. Another reason it was quite noir-like was with the main character herself, Jessica Jones, and how the lead protagonist was kind of troubled with these internal conflicts, these psychological kind of torments, she was kind of tormented by her past, and with Kilgrave, the Purple Man, and getting into her head. So even though she was quite powerful physically, she was being really threatened quite a lot psychologically, had loads of troubles and internal conflicts going on inside of her that she was battling with. And I thought that was a really interesting dynamic to the character, and that played out across the whole series. Jessica Jones was just such a great character. She's a really tough, strong woman, physically, and also she won't get anyone mess her around. She just got no nonsense attitude. She's just really sassy and just does what she wants, won't let anyone tell her what to do, and it was just great. Another thing that I really liked about Jessica Jones, which I didn't expect, was there's actually quite a bit of humour in there. I mean, there's not loads of humour, it's not laugh out loud or anything, but there's a lot of kind of witty, deadpan humour where characters just kind of flippantly say something or do have a certain look or do there's a particular action. It's quite funny, I think that was done really well and helped bring some levity into it, how it was surprisingly funny in parts and these just flippant remarks or actions the character would give, especially Jessica Jones. She was quite flippant and funny in certain parts as well, which just made it even more fun to watch. The whole cast was full of great female characters. We had Carrie Ann Moss there as the lawyer Hogarth. She was great, a great addition to the cast. And then Trish, who was Jessica Jones' best friend, she was a great supporting character as well. And of course Luke Cage, another superhero who was in there, and I thought at first he was only going to get a scene or two. He actually had quite a big role, which was quite surprising. I didn't expect that. I thought he would only have a really tiny part, but he kept coming back and showing up, and I really liked that. Toward the end they were kind of almost like partners in crime. They were kind of working together, but at times they go against each other, and I think their relationship was great. It was done really well, how it was all, across the whole season. And Mike Colter himself as Luke Cage was great. I had slight doubts about him, but then as soon as I saw him in the show, as that character, he was just great. And then the whole, powers of the indestructible skin, it was just done so well. I absolutely loved that. And then of course David Tennant as Kilgrave, the Purple Man himself. I absolutely loved him. David Tennant's one of my favourite actors. He does a lot of TV stuff. I kind of wish he'd do more movie stuff, but as soon as I found out he was cast as the villain in Jessica Jones, I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be great. And my suspicions were correct. He was just absolutely amazing as a villain. He was like freaking creep-tastic. He was just great. He was like this sick, twisted psychopath who was able to get at Jessica Jones in a psychological way and really threaten her in that way. And in many ways that makes the threat even more dangerous and powerful and unstoppable. I was just able to take control of anybody he wants, of loads of different people, just tell anybody what he wants to do. It just, it was kind of really unstoppable. You're thinking, how the hell are they going to stop this guy? Throughout the season it was almost like a cat and mouse chase between Jessica and Kilgrave, and going back and forth trying to get at each other, trying to, get at each other and stop each other, and yeah, it was great, and it all came to a finale right at the end there. Even though there wasn't as much action as there was in Daredevil, there was still a lot of violence. There was a lot of killing and a lot of death and blood and violence and stuff, and I loved that. It was great. It was just no holding back. It just really went for it. You can tell this definitely isn't a superhero show for kids. It was really extreme and full on in parts. The fights are really powerful and full on and intense, especially the fights between superpowered characters, or the fights that Jessica Jones had with other people. She was just like smashing them and just knocking people out all the time and just smashing down the walls. It was just great fun to watch. Nothing can stop her. She just goes for it and no holding back. And like I said, the superpowers are limited. They're quite toned down, but it works for the show. It's more subtle and understated. It's not over the top or flamboyant at all, and I like that. And I appreciated that. However, despite the powers, it still felt really kind of grounded and realistic, like Daredevil. Probably the only real criticism I have was the fact that it was quite slow moving compared to Daredevil, where it was a lot more fast paced and a lot more energy and action. Jessica Jones was a lot, slower, more slow moving, but I don't think that was necessarily a bad thing. Even when not a whole lot was happening, it was still consistently interesting and engaging to watch. You were constantly intrigued, constantly kept guessing as to what was going to happen next. You never got bored. Well, I didn't anyway. And even though not a whole lot happened, it was consistently interesting and entertaining to watch. So another thing I really liked, there was a couple of really cool references and nods to the Avengers and the wider Marvel Cinematic Universe. A couple of references to the events of the Avengers and some of the Avengers themselves, and there's a particular location as well in one of the episodes that was from a scene near the end of the Avengers, and I really liked that. I thought that was a great kind of really cool nod to the Avengers. But there wasn't like a ton of references, other than a couple of little mentions. There wasn't really any connection to the wider Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I actually really liked that. It stood apart as its own thing, even though it was still set in New York and set in this same world and this same Marvel universe. It felt like its own separate thing that could stand on its own. It didn't feel like it was connected too heavily with anything else. Even Daredevil, which is the other Netflix show set in around the same area, there wasn't really any connection to that, apart from one right near the end when we get a cameo from Rosario Dawson's Claire Temple, which I thought was a really nice touch. a nice way to kind of finish the season off and kind of tie it into Daredevil. I was really hoping for a cameo from Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson. I was really hoping they would get some lawyers in and they would just show up, but in a way I kind of didn't do that, because it probably would have taken away from the main event, which is Jessica Jones. It's her show, and it probably would have detracted from that and taken the focus away from her. So, you know, I think the cameo from Claire Temple was good enough, although I would have loved for Matt Murdock to show up in a little scene, but oh well. Yep, so there we go. That was my review for season 1 of Jessica Jones. Overall, I really liked it. Not as much as Daredevil, but it was still a really well-made show. It was really good quality, filmed really well, and I really enjoyed it. Great performances from the cast. It was interesting, entertaining to watch, and yeah, I really liked it, although I still like Daredevil way more. But yeah, I'm really loving these Marvel Netflix collaborations. I can't wait for the next one when they're going to get Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders. I can't wait. It's going to be great because I'm just loving the quality of these Netflix shows. I'm going to give Jessica Jones season 1 4 stars. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed watching my review. If you like this video, make sure to click subscribe to see more. But for now, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.